بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الدائم الملك الحق المبين مدبر بلا وزير بلا خلق من عباده يستشير الأول غير موصوف والباقي بعد فناء الخلق العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. All praise is to God. There is no God but He, the living, the just, the manifest. He is the administrator without any minister and without consultation with any of His servants. He is the first who cannot be described. He is eternal and will live forever after the end of all the great creation. And for us, God is the sufficient and the excellent protector. There is neither might nor power, but with God, the great, the exalted. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Brother Rashid did not release the prayer. He had to attend a burial ceremony for one of his family members in Southern California, so I'm kind of substituting for him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-A'raf, verse 31 says, Ya bani Adam, khudu zinatakum inda kulli masjidin wa kulu washrabu wa la tusrafu innahu la yuhibbul musrifin. The translation is, O children of Adam, dress well whenever you are at worship, and eat and drink, but do not be extravagant or wasteful. Musraf. God does not like extravagant people. La yuhibbul musraf. Also, this verse in Surah Al-Isra says, وآت ذا القربى حقه والمسكين ابن السبيل ولا تبذر تبذيرا ولا تبذر تبذيرا. Give relatives their due, and the needy and travelers. Do not squander your wealth wastefully. So today I want to talk about, in the first part of khutbah, about two important Islamic concepts, or Quran concept of israf and tabdil. Israf especially is very important concept. It has repeated in many verses of Quran, and scholars have discussed what does really israf means. So israf, according to scholars, it is a very general term which applies to any action which an individual performs which exceeds the limits is considered as being israf. So the Quran doesn't exactly tell us what is israf, but in general, anything that exceeds the bound of certain limits. So it's not only monetary thing. So israf, of course, a big part of it is you waste resources, or you waste your money or wealth. But you can also be musraf about your time, about your even when you're donating to others, you can be wasteful and exceed the bounds and limits. So it is general. And tabzir, which is like a wasteful spending or squandering wealth, is a kind of israf. It's a subset of israf, according to most scholars. So but that is related mostly to wealth and money and kind of material resources. So, and also it is somewhat relative. So the israf, maybe in one society, something is considered israf, maybe at one point in history, but now it's not considered israf. I'm just saying, for example, the type of let's say, the Prophet in the Arabia, maybe having 3 dates would be israf because there were so limited resources. Even throwing the seeds of the date would be israf. But today, in the United States, there's so much food, there is so much thing, having 2 or 3 dates is not really israf, and having a milk with it is not israf. It's considered okay, normal. And then it is, as I said, it is also israf. Anything we do, as I said, it's not just time, it's not just your wealth, but also the way you spend your other resources, such as I said, time. Me watching, one movie a night, one night, 2 hours of movie, that's okay. In here, it might be normal. But if I binge watch, 12 hours straight of, movies, then that's really stuff. I'm wasting my time doing something which is definitely useless. So in Quran, there are many verses really admonishes israf. And I will say you why. So what are the harms of the impacts of wastefulness? First of all, one version of it about the individual is it harms one's body. If we, that verse which I mentioned to you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Kulu washrubu wa la tusrafu. Of course, we drink, we eat as much as we need it, but we should not be wasteful. Eating and drinking too much, we know the consequences of it. There's so much obesity issue right now in the United States, so much health issue, not in the United States, but all over the world. People are obese because now we have so much, so much wasteful consumption of food. So one can be physical harm to individual. Second is wrath of God. If you are wasteful with our food, with our resources, with our time, Allah says, إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْرَفِينَ, which God does not like those who are wasteful with their resources. In another one of the hadith from the Prophet says, إِنَّ مَعَ الْإِسْرَافِ قِلَّةِ الْبَرَكَةِ, with wasteful spending or wastefulness decreases the barakah, the blessing. Now can we take it as individual or even as society? When society wastes a lot of resources, the barakah, the blessing, will be taken away. Another verse from Quran says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَهْدِي مَنْ هُوَ مُسْرِفٌ كَذَّابٌ. That means God does not guide those who are musrif. Musrif, as I said, was wasteful. So the God guidance will be taken away from us. And it creates poverty. There is a saying of Imam Ali alayhi salam. It says that israf causes destruction, while moderation is a means for the increase of wealth. The opposite of israf, what is is moderation, or is spending living in a moderate means. So what are the social? So those are individual. What are the social harms of israf? Of course, israf destroys the social worth and resources of a society, of a country. Whatever wealth that society has, it will be wasted and not put in good use. The morals and ethics of a society decreases because, we'll see, we discussed about a little bit more in the second part of the khutbah. But, when everybody is wasting their resources, spending more, then becomes a vicious cycle. Everybody wants to be wasteful. Nobody is encouraging each other to save their resources. So it really brings down the morals and ethics of a society. and I will talk about it a little bit more in the second part of the podcast. And also, it creates a class struggle and divisions. Some people normally in the society, which there's a lot of israf, wastefulness. Some people accumulate a lot of wealth and waste a lot of resources, and while others are in poverty and stay poor. And lastly, whenever a government or rulers are become wasteful, it really impacts the way the society is governed. Ibn Khaldun, the great Muslim sociologist, has mentioned whenever a government becomes afflicted with israf or extravagant, it would soon fall into decline. And I'll conclude this part of khutbah, as I said, with this verse from Quran that, as I mentioned in the beginning, tabzir, which is, as I said, wasting of resources. He says it is like being a brother to shaitan. This is innal mubdharina kanu ikhwanu shayatin wa kana shaytanu li rabbihi kafura. Those who squander are the brothers of Satan, and Satan is the most ungrateful to his Lord. So wasting resources, or wasting resources in society is like being a brother to Shaitan and following their fruitless steps. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين صلى الله عليه وسلم. So, in the first part of khutbah, we discussed the israf or being wasteful according to Quran, and some of the discussions about both israf and tabdir from Quranic perspective, and what the scholars define what israf really means. In the second khutbah, I want to bring it to today's world. So, what are examples of israf? Are we living in a society that is living in a balance or moderation, or are we living in a society or in a world that is really israf? It is model. As you know, we live in a today's world. We say what is really one of the most important characteristics of the way we live right now is consumerism. We are part of a consumer society, and that consumerism, the way we consume things, as you know, is leading to destruction of the whole earth. Global warming is one, it's kind of one aspect of it, but there are many other aspects of this type of, the way we live right now. And unfortunately, it's not just, although the United States is like, one of the prime example of a consumerist society, but, it is type of what I can say ideology that is being exported, is practiced all over the world. If you go to China, everyone wants to have, the bigger house, the most, the fanciest car, the fanciest watch, the latest iPhone, and etc. You go to India, it's the same thing. You go to Muslim countries, are even worse. So what does really consumerism means? According to sociologists, Consumerism is a powerful ideology. Characteristics of, they say Western society, but I say right now it's all societies most likely, that frames our worldviews, values, relationships, identities, and behavior. Consumer culture drives us to seek happiness and fulfillment through mindless consumption and serves as a necessary component of a capitalist society, which demands mass production and unending sales growth. So without us consuming, and we are the consumers, we are the consumers, all of us, we are the consumers. Without us consuming things or buying things, the capital or the whole production will stop, and the whole system will collapse. But at the same time, just doing what we have done in the past, whatever 100 years or 50 years, especially 50, 60 years, it will bring us destruction not only to us, but to our children, our grandchildren, and collapse of the society as the whole world as we know it. And the example of it has been clear. I mean, 2023, just data came out, has been the warmest year in the whole, history of the mankind. Things are increasing, and things are much worse than the scientists have predicted in their models. They have all these fancy models, the supercomputer, they simulate, they say, okay, they thought in 10 years we will reach, 1.5 degrees centigrade above, post-industrial temperature, but now we are way ahead of that. And the impact of it, as you know better than me, we had 3 years ago, we had the fires here, we had fires in Canada, India and all over the places with the heat waves, Middle East doesn't have any much water, and so on and so on. So a lot of it are, of course, we say, what's my role? I cannot do anything. It's the government. Government should do something about it. They should, stop companies from polluting or creating so much CO2. But, we have also some responsibility. And we have to take that responsibility seriously, especially as Muslims, because we have in Quran says we should not waste. We should not waste. We should not live extravagantly. So consumption is, they try to create in us a needs that is not really not necessary. They push us to think that we really need, the latest iPhone. I cannot live without latest iPhone, or I cannot live without wearing this latest fashion, because if I don't wear it, others will think of me of less of a person. They think I'm, whatever, I'm behind everything. So they created this never-ending appetite for consuming more and more. There is a way of, right now, it's kind of interesting for me, I don't know, they have come up with a way, they call it ecological footprint of a person in different societies. That means that how much land is needed for a human being to live as they are living right now and to get rid of their waste. And it's measured as a hectare. So they have ranked up, and in the United States, they have a very high ecological footprint per person, which is 8.04 hectare. China is 3.7 hectare per capita. It's much lower, but well, China has a 1 billion population. I was looking at the top 10, countries with the highest ecological footprint, and some of them were Islamic countries. Top was Qatar, second was UAE, Bahrain, these are top, so that means everything that we do, everything that we buy, we drink, we eat, we drive, if you want to say in terms of land, this is how much land we need to keep us so-called alive and in this state that we are. So, our role is to kind of think critically. We cannot, of course, we consume things. We cannot say, we don't want to, consume anything. That's almost impossible. But we can be mindful of what we buy and how much you can question, do I really need to buy this piece of gadget? Or if I have 10 pairs of jeans or 10 pairs of sneakers, do I need to buy 11 sneakers because it is the latest, whatever, fashion, the latest buka that, everyone is wearing? Do I need another one? So we have to really be critical. And even if I really need it, if there are two types of sneakers that are equally good, one is made of all brand new material, the other one is maybe 20, 30%, recycled stuff. Maybe that's a better choice. So, and then we go, they're all tempting us. I go to Trader Joe, and they're all, this aisle of all new stuff, brand new, whatever, snacks, and think, do I really need to buy that snack? Because that when buying a new snack, that means really, if all of us buy it, a lot of people buy it, that means deforestation. Someplace the palm oil has to produce, they're cutting the rainforest to put more palm oil, so they can, they can send it here and can have that whatever snack cheaper. So what I see that, we have to look at the consumption not only as a religious duty, not being a wasteful spender, but also our obligation toward our children and our grandchildren. As you know, a lot of cities, pretty soon they say they will, even the United States will be flooding almost every few months. Miami is one of them, and many other cities, even New York, which are very low-lying area. I don't know here what will happen to, let's say, Alameda, because they're only like a couple of feet above the sea level. A lot of these cities will be impacted badly. A lot of them will migrate. Have to migrate from those areas. Some areas in, let's say, Phoenix and southern Houston, the humidity and the heat will get so high that people cannot live there anymore. It's just impossible. Because if the heat and humidity will reach a point that if you go out, it will kill you because your body cannot perspire anymore. So these are getting more frequent all over the world, in India, in Persian Gulf states, and in southern United States. Once the frequency become higher and higher, then you cannot live. You have to move. You have to move out of that area, and it will create a lot of what do you call it, environmental immigration, and that will impact everything. So we have some role. Of course, we have to elect officials or trying to implement better environmental policy, but we also can make impact by our decisions, what to buy, less to buy. Buy. Sometimes you go to these used store. I mean, for example, I'm saying that toys. The toys. Yeah, we love to get more toys for our kids and grandkids, but if you go to used store, brand new toys, because children can use it a little bit, and then especially little children when they're babies, they use it for 1 month, then it's old, they don't use it anymore. And you go to second-hand store, you have a lot of these things that you can reuse and recycle. it is not really promoted in here in the United States, but in Europe, if you go, it's very promoted. People they reuse stuff. They use even they pass on the old clothes or used clothes to their children and then to their friends. So it is a mindset that we need to change. And if we don't change it enough and we don't change it fast enough, all of us and our children and our grandchildren will be in deep trouble. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the courage to do what is right and not be afraid what others will tell us, but to do what is right and what is haq. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.